Zombies, listen up. I'm getting tired of this, so I'm gonna have to diss. Brown coat, big nope, here's a rake to kiss. Respect the law and get out the door. Bowling zombie, out of here with that $5 pop door. Man, we don't stand, my man. Catapult your back as far as I can. Just help me out instead of smashing about. And let's fix this garden together throughout. Tell them now.
Sorry, I just really love the ad. Can't help myself. So we've now seen all three potential Plants vs. Zombies 3 art styles in action through playable ads PopCap began running. In this video, I'm gonna go over everything from why PopCap is considering changing it to what the fans want and my own thoughts. So subscribe and like the video if you want PvZ content and to stay up to date with the franchise. So why is PopCap considering changing the art style? Well, it's simple. Back in 2020, PopCap released a soft launch for Plants vs. Zombies 3 that was entirely 3D, and everyone vocally agreed that the art was terrible. The mesh quality was very subpar because it was a mobile game that had to be lightweight, but the high quality models didn't look good either because they were redesigns of classic characters. Alongside the game being generally terrible for other reasons, to touch on it briefly, a very grindy gameplay system that was considerably more pay to win if you thought PvZ 2's was, mediocre music that sounded like it was taken from a stock library, and an internet connection required all the time to play. The soft launch began on February 20th and had support ended on October 14th, and was confirmed to be taken offline indefinitely on November 18th. That rendition of Plants vs. Zombies 3 was up for 238 days, and was a sad stain on the franchise's legacy. When it was taken down, PopCap vowed that they would retool it to be something the fans would enjoy based on their feedback. A year later, on September 7th, PopCap released a small beta to gather feedback on gameplay that they later ignored, featuring the art style you'd recognize. When this art style was first revealed, everyone is extremely excited. We went from something horribly repulsive to something cartoony and bright. However, it wasn't perfect. A common complaint was that the proportions of the characters followed the redesigns and not the established designs in the games people like. Another year later, on April 5th and October 12th, two small betas dropped. This time, people's hopes started to crack when nobody's feedback was being considered in the slightest, with everyone getting the impression that PopCap didn't care about the fanbase in the slightest and was pushing a different demographic. Fast forward 2 years to January 17th, 2024, and the 2024 soft launch begun. And it was a complete dumpster fire. Unsurprisingly, the game had zero improvements since the betas people loudly disliked, and the game somehow had a worse public record than the soft launch back in 2020. People even say that they liked the older version more because it had more features and in-depth gameplay. Somehow, PopCap found themselves in a deeper ditch they tried digging out of, and nothing was working for them. The gameplay was extremely repetitive and boring, the music was just as bland as ever, and the art had no improvements whatsoever. Every update was full of fans upset at the direction the franchise was headed, which eventually led to the soft launch being taken down a second time on October 15th, with the game going offline on November 15th for the exact same reasoning. We're changing the game to be based off the fans' feedback. Months later, and we're here today, presented with three art styles to vote for. Purple, the original 2024 art style with design improvements. Pink, comic inspired with bold and sketchy line art. And green, overly round, soft, and toddler appealing. So, what do the fans want? Well, the most popular choice was pink, with purple being second and green being last, which is completely unsurprising. A big complaint about the art style in the soft launch was that it was a bit too chibi, where the zombies didn't really look dead. Not that PvZ zombies should be gross and unsettling, but they look a bit sanitized in comparison to their appearances in the other games. A similar argument is for the plant designs, which were too bouncy and bright. And the human characters, which their inclusion is a separate hot debate, also suffered from this chibiness, where they look a lot smaller than they really are. Especially Crazy Dave, who lost that rough, sort of semi-well-kept appearance. The game was done in 2.5D, meaning its 2D textures are rigged to 3D skeletons. This was done to cut corners and reuse animations, and they looked mostly horrible here. The zombies didn't eat plants and ended up flimsily slapping them. So with all these complaints and PopCap being a company whose entire motive is to make a profit, Obviously, they make changes to a product that appeals to their customers. So here we are in this position to choose from 3 choices. When PvZ 3's 2024 soft launch begun, I was very critical about the art style and openly disliked it, which I still do. One of my complaints was the oversaturated colors being used that strained my eyes during long playtimes. I also found the redesigns to be a punch to the face compared to the previous games. Plants vs. Zombies 2 was a game that really redefined the first game's designs, and there was a ton of effort into making sure everything worked. Unlike the first game, Plants vs. Zombies 2 was designed for mobile, and they wanted all of the characters to be readable from all screen sizes. Alongside that, they wanted to make the characters more expressive and animated since the first game only used tweening. The third game's redesigns felt like change for the sake of change, and nothing really felt like an innovation or improvement. The only design improvement I can think of is Puffshroom gaining unique degrading sprites for when his time to live timer is about to expire, compared to Plants vs. Zombies 2's gradually becoming more desaturated and flickery. So in the latest Purple ad, they actually listened to the feedback and made some really good design improvements. Key Shooter was redone to resemble his PvZ 2 appearance, but to be more vibrant, colorful, and expressive. The zombies, while the changes are very little, look ever so slightly better, and they're at a point where I accept it. So while I disliked the original soft launch's appearance, the design improvements we've seen so far have changed my opinion for the better. Pink is the art style everyone's been raving about, and you can see why. In the concept art we were shown, it had grit, and the zombies looked very similar to their appearances in PvZ 1. A common complaint is that the zombies lost their gothic, moody, and dreading presentation that was really only present in PvZ 1 and some parts of Garden Warfare 1. In the ad we were shown, it's not exactly one for one, and that has changed some thoughts on it. A reminder that the piece we were shown was a fully rendered drawing, and this is a playable ad. High quality assets are not something you should expect. Regardless, there's still many people supporting it, and it's the main one the community wants. I personally love it for how unique it looks compared to the other 2 games. It feels like it has a unique identity and vision for itself, which I can't completely say for Purple and Green at all. If the game released like this, it would be easy to tell it apart from PvZ 1 or 2, and set it apart from other games out there on the market. The biggest complaint about it so far are the animations. Some people suggested it take inspiration from Into the Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots 2, where the frame rate is intentionally lowered to be choppy looking to make frames have more weight and impact. This is something I completely agree with. The animations currently are fluid and smooth because they are reused. It's the same animations made for the Purple ad, but with the textures replaced with pink assets. So, false alarm people. Of course, they could continue and reuse animations for a 3rd time. That is a PopCap move, but I don't know. I feel like it could potentially happen. The only other complaint I've seen is the lawn, specifically the grass. It's too washed out looking to where it looks fake, but I personally really dig it. If they follow through with it, imagine all the cool promotional art and renders we could get. And lastly, green. Green is the complete opposite of everything that was liked about Pink. Unlike Pink, which has grit and the identity of what Plants vs. Zombies is, Green has none of that and looks like it was made for toddlers. It's way too soft and round. The zombies look friendly even. It does not reflect the usual undead, I'm here to eat your brains vibe they have. Key Shooter looks alien-like. Why does it have huge empty eyes? This doesn't even resemble the PvZ brand now. This entire thing looks like a bootleg trying to be as legally distinct as possible. We should keep in mind that PopCap is making a game for us, so you should make your voice heard. Do you like pink or purple? Make your voice heard. Just, if you like green, you should probably just hide. Feel free to comment what you think about each style and how you'd respond to a hypothetical PvZ 3 if it did release using it. I'd love to see what everyone thinks. I really hope PopCap listens to us and follows through with everything but green. They've been using the green art style in all their anniversary art, and it's gotten many people worried. Thanks for watching to the end of this video, and subscribe if you want to be kept up to date with all things PvZ. Subscribe if you want to be kept to